Friends, we're going to have a look at Mark chapter 5 today, verses 1 to 20. So if you have your Bibles, open up to Mark chapter 5. If you don't, then please listen along as I start by reading the Bible in English. Then they came to the other side of the sea, to the region of the Gerasenes. As soon as Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an unclean spirit came out of the tombs and met him. He lived in the tombs. No one was able to restrain him any more, even with chains, because he often had been bound with shackles and chains, but had snapped off the chains and smashed the shackles. No one was strong enough to subdue him. And always, night and day, he was crying out among the tombs and in the mountains and cutting himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and knelt down before him, and he cried out with a loud voice, "What do you have to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you before God, do not torment me." For he had told him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." "What is your name?" Jesus asked. "My name is Legion," he answered him, "because we are many." And he kept begging him not to send him out of the region. Now a large herd of pigs was there, feeding on the hillside. The demons begged him, "Send us to the pigs so we may enter them." And he gave them permission. Then the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs, and the herd of about 2,000 rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned. The men who tended them ran off and reported it in the town and the countryside, and people went to see what had happened. They came to Jesus and saw the man who had been demon-possessed by the legion, sitting there dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. The eyewitnesses described to them what had happened to the demon-possessed man and told them about the pigs. Then they began to beg him to leave their region. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed kept begging him to be with him. But he would not let him. Instead, he told him, "Go back to your own people and report to them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." So he went out and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and they were all amazed. Now, friends, this is a beautiful story in the life of Jesus. Jesus and his close friends, they get off the boat in this place called the Gerasenes, and immediately Jesus is stopped by this man with an unclean spirit. And Mark, he gives us a lot of information about this man so that we can see the difference that Jesus makes. You see, the man was unbound. He was a man who could not be controlled, even with chains and shackles. He was a man who kept screaming and crying out in the tombs and in the mountains and cutting himself with stones. But as soon as this man who could not be controlled, as soon as he sees Jesus, he runs up to Jesus and he says, "What do you want with me? Jesus, Son of the Most High God, I beg you, do not torment me." Immediately, this man with an unclean spirit, he knows that Jesus is powerful. He also knows that Jesus is the Son of the Most High God. And he knows that Jesus has the power to torment, to hurt him, to destroy him. Now, Jesus asks what the man's name is. And of course, he says his answer is Legion, because they are many. He was possessed by many demons. And so Jesus actually allows the demons to go into a herd of pigs, and those pigs then go and drown. And what do we learn here about Jesus? In fact, we learn a lot about how powerful Jesus is. You see, this man could not be controlled by anyone. But after he had an interaction with Jesus, after he came face to face with Jesus, he actually was sitting there in his right mind. And we are meant to see how different the man is and how much of a difference it makes that the man met Jesus. We also see that Jesus is powerful to not only control demons, but he is powerful that the demons know who he is already. The man who could not be controlled runs up to Jesus and says, "What do you want with me, Son of the Most High God?" The demons know that Jesus is the Son of the Most High God. And we also learn that Jesus is powerful to take people out of torment and pain and not control into a place where they can be safe and have control. Or to use the stories that we heard before, Jesus takes people out of the house of Satan and takes them in to the household of God. And the man, he wants to follow Jesus. He wants to follow him literally wherever he is going. But Jesus says, "No, now that you have encountered me, go to your own town and tell the people how much mercy God has shown you." And this is a wonderful story that helps us to see that Jesus is who Mark says Jesus is. Jesus is the Son of God. That's what Mark said, if you remember. He said that at the very beginning. Mark chapter 1 verse 1. Jesus, the Son of God. And we, as we read this, we not only hear the demons say that Jesus is the Son of God, but we also see that Jesus has power to take people from being possessed by Satan, from being in the house of Satan, from being captured by sin, and Jesus can bring them out so that they are free from sin and are able to follow him.